Good morning all. Today we will be discussing solve question paper subject periodontology for the year 2018. Question paper is given here on the screen, section 1 and section 2. In this discussion we will be taking section 1 having long question, short notes and one-liner questions. So let's start with the long question. Define aggressive periodontitis, give clinical features, radiographic finding and treatment plan. Just because it's a long question, in order to make our answer more presentable, we'll be starting with the content. In this, we'll be writing all the points that we will be writing in our answer. Introduction, definition, history, classification, clinical feature, microbiology, radiographic features, etiology and the treatment plan, and one diagram. Introduction. Introduction should be very short, having all the keywords and easy to remember. In introduction, what I have included is periodontitis is a multifactorial disease. It's a complex and an upregulated or maladapted immunoinflammatory response to bacterial plaque which predispose the patient to periodontal breakdown. Now coming on to the definition of aggressive periodontitis, I have taken this definition from the book Jane Linde. It comprises a group of rare, severe, rapidly progressive form of periodontitis, often characterized by early age of clinical manifestation and a distinct tendency for cases to aggregate in the family. That means it is very rare disease, it is not normally seen, having very severe destruction of bone, and it will be seen in very early age and it will be running in the family. Now coming on to the history. In 1923, it was named diffuse atrophy of alveolar bone. In 1928, it was named as deep cementopathia. In 1938, renamed as periodontitis marginalis progressiva, and in 1967 it was renamed as juvenile periodontitis, but the recent terminology is that was given in 1999 is aggressive periodontitis. Clinical feature: onset around puberty, distolabial migration of maxillary incisors, and because of movement of maxillary incisor, diastema formation will be there. Minimum plaque accumulation and minimum inflammatory response will be seen. Mobility of maxillary and mandibular incisors I have already discussed. Because of this, distolabial migration of teeth will be there. Sensitivity of denuded root surface, deep dull radiating pain during mastication, and periodontal abscess formation might be there. Radiographic features: vertical bone loss around first molar and incisors, arc-shaped loss of alveolar bone extending from distal surface of second premolar to mesial surface of second molar. Bone defects are wider than in chronic periodontitis. Mirror image will be there. That means the defect that will be seen on the left side, the same will be there onto the opposite side. That means mirror image will be there. Now, common feature given by Lang in 1999: except for the presence of periodontitis, patients are otherwise clinically healthy. Rapid attachment loss and bone destruction. Familial aggregation of cases will be there. Secondary feature that are generally present are amount of microbial deposit are inconsistent with the severity of periodontal tissue destruction. That means the amount of microbial deposit, that is plaque accumulation, is inconsistent with the severity of destruction. Elevated proportion of certain bacteria, for example Aggregatibacter actinomycetam cometan, and in some population Porphyromona gingivalis. Phagocytic abnormalities: hyperresponsive macrophage phenotype including elevated level of prostaglandin E2, interleukin 1 beta. Progressive attachment loss and bone loss that might be self-arresting. Classification: localized and generalized. Generalized aggressive periodontitis. In generalized, at least 3 permanent teeth other than first molar and usually affecting person under the age of 30 years. Poor serum antibody response and pronounced episodic nature of the destruction. I have explained all the points in my seminar also. Etiology and pathogenesis. Bacterial etiology, genetic aspect and environmental aspect. Bacterial etiology. Most of the time, the bacteria associated with the disease is gram-negative anaerobic rod, Aggregatibacter actinomycetam comitan, and other organisms are Porphyromonas gingivalis and given all other bacteria are given here on the screen. Now, what is Aggregatibacter actinomycetam comitan? It is a small, short, straight or curved, non-motile and gram-negative anaerobic rod. Colony characteristic is it is a white translucent smooth colony with star-shaped internal appearance, which is characteristic of this bacteria. Why this bacteria cause so much of destruction in very small time is because of the various virulence factor associated with the bacteria, and they are leukotoxin, which destroy human host cell like neutrophils and macrophages, endotoxins, which activate host cell to secrete various inflammatory mediators, for example prostaglandin, and because of this bone destruction will be more. Bacteriocin, which inhibit growth of other beneficial species. Immunosuppressive factor may inhibit immunoglobulin like immunoglobulin G and M production. Collagenase cause degradation of collagen. Chemotactic inhibiting factor may inhibit neutrophil chemotaxis. Genetic basis, it is autosomal dominant in most of the cases and which is associated with a receptor on the immunoglobulin, and it is due to genetic polymorphism, which is due to some mutations in the immunoglobulin, and because of this phagocytic is defective in the neutrophil and macrophages, and because of the poor phagocytosis severe periodontitis will be there. Environmental factors, smoking. In large studies, cigarette smoking has been associated with the aggressive periodontitis. It is diagnosed on the basis of clinical examination, radiographic and microbiological examination. Prognosis, when diagnosed early, an appropriate excellent prognosis is there, but if impaired host response is there, then prognosis will be poor. Treatment, emphasis will be given on improved oral hygiene, how to improve the oral hygiene, scaling and root planning, antibiotic therapy and periodontal surgery. In non-surgical phase, patient education will be done, scaling and root planning, oral hygiene improvement and regular recall maintenance. In surgical, depending upon the condition of the osseous wall, if one wall defect is there, then resective surgery will be done, and if vertical defect like 3 wall defect is there, then we'll go for regenerative surgery like bone grafting and GTR. Antimicrobial treatment. Antibiotic has been suggested as a complement to mechanical debridement. The choice of antibiotic should be guided by information about the nature of involved pathogenic microorganism, and it is based on the culture. If predominant gram positive, then augmentin. If predominant gram negative, clindamycin. If anaerobic predominance is there, then metronidazole or a combination of metronidazole and amoxicillin will be there. Coming on to the short note, we'll be discussing oral malodor first. It is a foul or offensive odor emanating from oral cavity. I have taken this definition from the book Carenza. And how this word originated, it is from the Latin word halitus and osis, breath and disease, halitosis. Other synonyms are given here on the screen. History. It dates back to Ebers Papyrus, and which is 15,000, near about 15,000 BC, written 15,000 BC. Classification is given here on the screen. Genuine halitosis, physiologic halitosis, pathologic, pseudohalitosis and halitophobia. I'll not be discussing all this in detail because this is a short note. Etiology. Physiologic, pathologic, local and systemic. So it is very easy to remember, and in short note we have included all the main points, but still we are not be going into the detail of all the points. And local causes, I have given various local causes which is responsible for the halitosis: poor oral hygiene, extensive caries, gingivitis, periodontitis, food impaction, Vincent disease, hairy or coated tongue, fisher tongue, and excessive smoking. Various compound associated with halitosis: indole, skeptol, tyramine, cadaverine, putrescine, mercaptan, sulfide and other compound. And the major causes of oral malodor is due to methyl mercaptan or hydrogen sulfide. Diagnosis: first self-examination is done by scraping the back of tongue, smelling toothpick, spit, saliva and licking the wrist. Next is organoleptic rating. I have included only the main points. I will not be discussing the detail. Organoleptic rating: oral cavity odor, breath odor, tongue coating, nasal breath odor. Now examination done by expert: portable volatile sulfide monitor, gas chromatography, analyzing of the air, saliva and GCF for the volatile components, electronic nose, dark field contrast microscopy and saliva incubation test. In the treatment, 4 major points are: mechanical reduction of intraoral nutrient and microorganism, that is by tongue cleaning, interdental cleaning, toothbrushing, professional periodontal treatment and chewing gum. Next is chemical reduction of oral microbial load, that is by chlorhexidine or chemical plaque control. Conversion of volatile sulfur compound. Metal salt solution, metal ion with affinity for sulfur are efficient in capturing the sulfur containing gases. Masking of malodor, chewing gums and by various toothpaste. Coming on to the short note of acute necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis. What all we will be including in this answer. First of all, definition. It is microbial disease of gingiva in context of an impaired host response, characterized by death and slotting of gingival tissue, and it is present with characteristic signs and symptoms. Classification was given in 1999. Necrotizing periodontal disease, necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis and necrotizing ulcerative periodontitis. It is very important to know that ANUG or acute necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis is an old terminology. Recent is NUG, that is necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis, because the disease might be in acute or in subacute form. It might be localized or generalized. So the recent terminology is necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis. It is not ANUG. And synonyms are given here on the screen: trench mouth, ulcerative gingivitis, Vincent infection. Classification: acute and subacute, localized and generalized. Sign: punched out crater-like depression at the crest of interdental papillae covered by gray pseudomembranous slot, demarcated from remainder of gingival mucosa by pronounced linear rhythmia. If the lesion are denuded of pseudomembrane, gingiva appear to be red, shiny and hemorrhagic. Fetid odor, increased salivation and spontaneous gingival bleeding. So you can draw this diagram if you are fond of drawing the diagrams, and it's more important if you want to score good marks. Then what you can do is, on the one side you can draw the interdental papillae is intact, and on the other side the punched out lesion. See, in this interdental area punched out lesion is there, and because of this flat architecture is there of the gingiva, and over this white structure you can draw in order to show the decomposition of the gum tissue. So this is a diagram showing necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis. Punched out crater-like depression is a characteristic feature. Punched out crater-like depression at the crest of interdental papillae. Coming on to the symptom, the lesions are extremely sensitive to touch, radiating groaning pain, intensified by eating spicy or hot food, metallic foul taste, excessive amount of pasty saliva, extraoral and systemic sign and symptom like lymphadenopathy, increase in temperature, loss of appetite, and general lassitude might be there. Etiology: bacterial flora like spirochete and fusiform bacilli, and psychosomatic factor in which stress is an important point. Nutritional deficiency like deficiency of vitamins, and debilitating disease like chronic disease. Diagnosis on the basis of history, clinical finding, and bacterial smear. Treatment: isolation of the lesion. Since it's written in the short note, I have made this very precise answer, very short and precise, because we cannot include all the points, so I have taken only the important points. Isolation of lesion, irrigation with H2O2, subgingival scaling and root planing is contraindicated, and if systemic sign and symptom will be there, then we'll go for antibiotic treatment. Coming on to the short note of trauma from occlusion. Definition is: when occlusal force exceeds the adaptive capacity of tissue, the tissue injury result, and the resultant injury is known as trauma from occlusion. Etiology: malocclusion, temporomandibular joint dysfunction, faulty restoration, faulty prosthesis, faulty orthodontic treatment, parafunctional habits, dental caries, and bruxism. There are two concepts related to trauma from occlusion. One was given by Glickman in 1965, and according to that, the pathway of spread of plaque-associated gingival lesion can be changed. The pathway of spread of plaque-associated gingival lesion can be changed if forces of abnormal magnitude are acting on the teeth harboring the subgingival plaque. And he divided the zone into zone of irritation and zone of co-destruction. Next concept is Warhol concept. He gave this concept in 1976. He concluded that angular defects and intrabony pocket occur due to subgingival plaque, and he refuted the zone of co-destruction. Classification: acute, chronic, primary, and secondary. Acute result from abrupt changes. For example, biting on a hard object. Chronic, it's more common, slow and continuous forces are delivered on the tooth. For example, parafunctional habit like bruxism and clenching, forceful clenching. Primary, in primary, forces are increased, but the periodontium is healthy. In secondary, forces are normal, but periodontium is compromised. This is primary and this is secondary. Stages of tissue response: first injury, then repair, and adaptive remodeling. We will be writing only the main points when we are writing the short notes. Coming on to the clinical feature: increased mobility, cementum fracture, fracture in root or crown, migration of teeth, vertical impaction of food or wear facet, pain and discomfort in the teeth, thermal sensitivity, and Tremeter's test is positive. Radiographic feature: thickened lamina dura, vertical destruction of interdental septum, root resorption, buttressing bone formation, increased radio density. Treatment: most important point is removal of etiological factor. Treatment will be done according to the etiology that will be present. For example, if bruxism is there, management of parafunctional habit will be done. If high points are there due to restoration, then occlusal adjustment and reshaping of the restoration will be done. And if it is due to dental restoration, reshaping of teeth by grinding the dental restoration. Splinting of mobile teeth will be done, selective grinding, and tooth movement, orthodontic tooth movement will be done depending upon the etiology. Junctional epithelium. Coming on to the next question, junctional epithelium. First of all, definition. Junctional epithelium is non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium which attaches and forms a collar around the cervical portion of teeth. The junctional epithelium is sometimes referred to as attachment epithelium. Structure. It is 3 to 4 layer thick in early life, but the number of layers increase with age up to 10 to 20. Cells are grouped in two strata, stratum basal and suprabasal. The length of junctional epithelium ranges from 0.25 to 1.35 mm. Location. In healthy condition, junctional epithelium lies at cemento-enamel junction. And this is very easy diagram to draw. This is root surface, this is enamel, and this is cementum. This is our junctional epithelium having basal layer and suprabasal layer, and 1 to 2% of neutrophil are always there in the junctional epithelium. I have shown desmosomal junction and hemidesmosomal toward the epithelium. Hemidesmosome is half of the desmosome, hemi toward the epithelium and toward the surface of tooth, and desmosomal in the middle. Microscopic feature. Lysosome-like bodies are present. Keratinosome, Odland bodies are absent. Cytokeratin of junctional epithelium K19, K5 and K14 are present. K6 and K16 are absent. Zone of junctional epithelium: apical, middle and coronal part. Apical cells show germinative characteristic, middle provide adhesion to the tooth, and coronal zone for the passage of fluid. Development. It develops from reduced enamel epithelium around the tooth, and from around the implant it develops from the oral epithelium. Turnover rate is 5 to 6 days. Function. It forms the epithelial attachment apparatus to the tooth surface. It forms epithelial barrier. It provides bidirectional movement of substance. It plays a role in host defense against bacterial infection, and rapid turnover rate which maintain the equilibrium. Role of junctional epithelium in the disease. Junctional epithelium in periodontitis. Length is reduced. Junctional epithelium will be ulcerated, heavy infiltrated with inflammatory cell, as in deep pockets. But in junctional epithelium in necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis and periodontitis, junctional epithelium is destroyed and it is replaced by fibrin and necrotic epithelium. So no pocket formation will be there in necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis and periodontitis. Kindler syndrome, a rare skin disorder due to the loss of protein kindlin. Junctional epithelium failed to attach to the tooth surface. Junctional epithelium around implant. Junctional epithelium around implant originate from reduced enamel epithelium, but that of implant originate from the mucosa, that I have already explained you. And around the implant epithelium is much thicker with few organelles. Connective tissue fiber around implant, they are attached to the bone parallel to the implant surface. Now, structure and the function of periodontal ligament. Definition. Periodontal ligament is a connective tissue that surrounds the root and connect it to the bone. It is continuous with the connective tissue of gingiva and communicate with the marrow space through vascular channel in the bone. Synonyms are given here on the screen like gomphosis, desmodont. Structure. It is very easy to draw this flow chart and it is very easy to remember. All the structure I have included in this: extracellular substance and the fibers that are there in the periodontal ligament, alveolar crest, horizontal group, oblique group, apical and interradicular. Now coming on to the functions. It protects the vessel and nerves from injury by mechanical forces, transmission of occlusal forces to the bone, attachment of teeth to the bone, maintenance of gingival tissue in their proper relationship to the teeth. Resistance to impact of occlusal forces, that is shock absorption. Absence of periodontal ligament around implant. The absence of periodontal ligament around implant reduces the tactile sensitivity and reduces the reflex function. That means only osseous perception will be there around the implant. Coming on to the one-liner question. First, fenestration and discence. Fenestration is isolated area in which the root is denuded of bone and the root surface is covered only by periosteum and overlying gingiva. This is fenestration. So in fenestration, marginal bone is intact. Discence. In discence, the marginal bone is also not intact when the denuded area extends through the marginal bone. This is known as discence. Classification of periodontal pocket. I have made this flowchart because it is very easy to remember, and I have tried to include all the points of classification. First of all, connective tissue loss is there. On the basis of it, false and true pocket, and true pocket further divided supra-bony and intra-bony, and on the basis of surfaces involved, simple, compound and complex. On the basis of healing, edematous and fibrotic. Calculus formation. Initial attachment of bacteria, tooth surface by salivary pellicle, growth and organization of plaque, mineralization of plaque. Calculus is formed by precipitation of mineral salt. Bundle bone. Bundle bone is a histological term. It is the histological term for the portion of bone of the alveolar process that surround the teeth and into which the collagen fiber of periodontal ligament are embedded. Stippling. The gingiva present a textured surface like that of orange peel and it is being referred as stippled. Feature is best viewed by drying the gingiva. Attached gingiva is stippled and the marginal is not. Central portion of interdental papilla is usually stippled but marginal border are smooth. Stippling is a feature of normal healthy gingiva. Coming on to the pellicle. Definition is a homogeneous membrane acellular film that covers the tooth surface and frequently forms the interface between tooth and the dental plaque and calculus. It serves as a receptor for initial bacterial attachment or adhesion. Composition, it is made up of protein of saliva, GCF, gingival clavicular fluid, bacterial component and the host cell products. Thank you.